Hi, I'm Erin. Welcome to my beautiful unschool life. This video is just going to be a talkie video. I'll call it my fireside chat video. The last time I did a video like this was in September, so it was called a garden chat. When I made that video, I had just found out that my channel was monetized, and I was really quite excited about the possibility of having an income, but also quite anxious about the added workload of trying to produce a video every single week. So I thought I would sort of check in about how it's been going. So last week was Christmas, so I didn't post a video. The girls are now at their dad's. They spend Christmas with me every year, and they spend New Year's with their dad every year, and everybody likes that arrangement. So I'm alone right now, which means I'm getting some projects done around the farm. As of next week, I'm hoping to start a new series of videos all about me, telling about my life and how I ended up where I am, why I live the way that I live, a bit of a day in the life, a little bit about what it's actually like to live in a tiny house. But for now, I kind of want to talk about just my YouTube channel. My number one most popular video is the tiny house tour. Right now it's at, I think, like 45,000 views, which is really weird, by the way, that 45,000 people all around the world have seen my bedroom. That's kind of weird. So you might think that this is a tiny house channel. A lot of my content is homesteading related, so you might think that this is a homesteading channel. The channel is called My Beautiful Unschool Life, and unschooling is a type of homeschooling. So you might think that this is a homeschooling YouTube channel. But actually, if I were to best summarize what I'm trying to do with my YouTube channel, it is that I am trying to normalize how hard it is to learn something new, which across the board is what I do. I do hard things and I make mistakes, and I share those mistakes publicly so that the whole world can see and tell me how bad my mistakes were. And I think that that is relevant across all of the genres that I touch on. Homeschooling, tiny house, homesteading, across the board, it's all about how to do something hard that you don't know how to do, and how many mistakes it takes. I think that is one of the biggest injustices that we have in this world that we live in with the internet, where everyone is always judging you for your mistakes. Everyone is always expecting you to be perfect and calling you out if you're not perfect, and shaming you if you're not perfect, and shutting you out if you're not perfect. There's a chicken in my garden. Okay, so one of the biggest things about the internet that really frustrates me is that people is the illusion of perfection. People edit out their mistakes and show you perfection. People attack you anytime you don't do anything that fits their extraordinarily high standards. There is no room for error. There's no room for mistakes. And that's just extraordinarily unrealistic. We are human and we make mistakes, especially if we're trying to learn something new, especially if we're trying to learn how to do something difficult. It's all mistakes. What time is it? And that's a perfect example. I realized that I was running late and I had to go to town, and I wasn't able to finish filming yesterday. And so now it's a day later. What I could have done is I could have put on exactly the same clothes and done my hair exactly the same and make sure the camera was at exactly the same angle, and I could have finished filming pretending that none of that had happened and it was still the same day. But I'm here talking about how I share my mistakes publicly on the internet. So here I am sharing my mistakes publicly on the internet. There was a video recently that I posted that was a massive mistake, and it was the blizzard video. It was in two parts. Part one got like 500 views, and part two got 5,000 views. And in that video, I was showing the surprise blizzard that hit us and us coping with the surprise blizzard. I made two really big mistakes with that video. One was I did fail to protect my animals from the weather. And number two was, for the sake of being artistic, I failed to give all the people all the information that they needed. I forgot that people watching that video might not have watched part one. They might not have watched all my other videos. All they see is what looks like viciously harsh weather and animals that aren't properly protected. And so they judged me. And of course they judged me because I failed to give them the information that they needed to know that the animals weren't in as much danger as it looked. What I had was half an hour of footage of us bumbling around in the snow. And from the footage, it looked like, and I called it a blizzard, but it wasn't really a blizzard. It wasn't really a blizzard. The footage looked really stunning and dramatic, and I used it without providing any context. And so, of course, people thought that the animals were in danger, and they weren't. The weather wasn't very cold at all. There was hardly any snow. It was only drifting. Those animals don't live in those locations. I keep them in those locations when the weather is nice because they like access to bugs and to grass. They like to be out on the yard rather than in the sheltered coops where they should be during a blizzard. So I made two mistakes, but I stand by it because that is what I'm doing on this channel. And that is what I'm doing with my kids. So for instance, what I teach the children is that when you make mistakes, there's 3 steps that you do. First is you admit that you made a mistake. And that's what I'm doing when I post these videos on the internet, is I'm admitting that I made a mistake. I'm not hiding it. I'm not covering it up. I'm not pretending that it didn't happen. I am being very public and open about the fact that I made a mistake. Number 2 is you fix the fallout of your mistake. And that's what I'm doing when I spend 2 hours in a blizzard digging a rabbit cage out of a snowdrift. That is me fixing the fallout of the mistake. And that is me demonstrating to my kids that you fix the fallout of your own mistakes. And number 3 is you learn the lesson and you do better next time. And so I learned the lesson about how harshly people will judge you on the internet for your mistakes. And I will do better next time in trying to provide people more context, even if it's at the cost of the artistic level of the video. I need to make sure to give people the information that they need in order to appreciate the artisticness without being worried for the well-being of my animals. I got a lot of really harsh comments on that video. And advice that I've been given from other YouTubers is you delete the harsh comments. But to me, that is the exact opposite of what I want to do. Because I'm trying to be totally transparent about how difficult and painful it is to do hard things and to learn lessons the hard way. So I can't just delete the criticism and pretend it didn't happen. I have to confront it head on and let them know I am making mistakes very publicly, and I promise that I'm learning from those mistakes. And that's what I do here on my channel. I learn the hard way. Now, as I said before, I am a person with very thin skin. I want very much for everyone to like me. I want very much to do everything perfectly the first time. And so those negative comments and the truth behind those negative comments really hurt me. They wouldn't hurt me if I knew they weren't true. There's a part of me that has said exactly those same words to myself already. And that's why it hurts when someone else says it to me, because it confirms, this negative thought that I have about myself. Of course, it's more complicated than that. It's not, I made a mistake and I should quit, which is what the comments are. The comments are very much, you made a mistake and you should quit. I made a mistake and I should do better. That's the point of what I'm doing here. I made a mistake and I should do better. You don't quit just because you're not good at something the first time you do it. You don't quit just because you're not good at something the second time you do it. You don't quit when you're not good at something the third time you do it. You get up and you try again and you do better and you keep fighting. And that's what it is to do something hard. But I do always go through a few days where I think, this is too hard. I can't do this. I'm not strong enough. I'm not good enough. I should just quit. And I went through a few days thinking, I just want a normal life. I just want to live in an apartment and go to a 9-to-5 job and put my kids in school and just step my way through this life as simply as humanly possible, because this is too hard. So I definitely had about a 2-week existential crisis where I just didn't know if this was worth it. And that's okay too. If I decide that it's too hard and it's not worth it and I want to quit, then I'm going to be kind to myself and I'm going to do it. But I also know that sometimes you feel that way for a few days and then you kind of come out of it again and you get back to the grindstone. And that's where I am right now. I went through my little questioning every single thing about my life. And now I've kind of come up with some answers, and I'm back to, I can do this better. Coming up with new systems and new approaches and new ideas for how I can make this easier and do better. I can do better at the farm, and I can do better at my YouTube channel. And I am going to continue showing my mistakes because someone needs to do it. We can't all be putting out the image that we're perfect and editing out anything that's not perfect, because then we're all going to feel like failures, because we're going to think that everyone else is not struggling. Nobody else is struggling with this. I'm the only one struggling with this. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not strong enough. I should just quit. And it's bullshit. Everyone's struggling. They're just hiding it. They're not showing it to you. So I'm just going to keep showing it to you. And that means that every once in a while, I'm going to get told that I'm not good enough and I should quit. And I'm going to feel like I'm not good enough and I should quit. And maybe one day I will. And when I do, I'll share that with you too. And that is why this YouTube channel is an unschooling YouTube channel, because as an unschooler, that is what we do. The way that schools teach children is they spoon feed them readily made information, and the children memorize the information and regurgitate it on a test. And that method of learning has been proven time and time again not to last. As soon as the test is over, we erase the information from our brains because we don't need it anymore. Unschooling is based on the research that shows that we retain information when we're interested in it. So that when you are fascinated by a subject, when you're really intrigued in it, when you see the need for some sort of information, some sort of knowledge, some sort of skill, when you see the need for that skill, then you learn it, and you learn it in a way that you retain the information. And what that really boils down to is learning things the hard way, learning how to learn. And if I teach my children how to learn, if I teach you guys, if I teach my interested viewers how to learn, then you can take that knowledge and apply it to anything. If I teach my children how to teach themselves how to read, then they now know how to teach themselves how to play the piano, how to teach themselves math, how to teach themselves gardening, how to teach themselves Arabic. Once you know how to teach yourself something, once you know the process of doing things the hard way and trying and failing and trying and failing and trying and failing and having faith that it will get easier and that you will get better. Once you understand that process, you can learn anything. And that is what unschooling is, and that is what my YouTube channel is. It's teaching people how to learn and teaching by example. I have to teach myself how to do hard things and be very public with my kids about how I'm doing it, about how I'm trying and how I'm failing. They need to see that because that is how people learn. We learn by watching people. We learn by trying. We learn by failing. That is how we learn. And that is what I'm doing here. And I will keep reading the comments, all of the comments. I get so many good comments, so many supportive people. It really, really touches my heart. And yeah, I get to people telling me that I'm not good enough and I'm not strong enough and I'm not doing it right and I should quit. Those things can both be true at the same time. It can all be true. And I'm just going to be real and sit in the ugliness of it and the messiness of it and not try to pretend that things are tidier and cleaner than they really are. I'm just going to be real and honest. And hopefully that means that one corner of the internet will be less judgmental and less harsh and less unrealistic. I'm really glad that you all have stuck with me for the ride. I've really appreciated how many of you have recommended me to your friends and family. My channel is growing really steadily, which is very exciting. Thank you for hanging out with me. Take care, and I'll see you next time.